In today's video, I'm going to discuss how Linux can breathe new life into old hardware. Despite working with a 7-year-old GPU and a 12-year-old PC, I was still able to hit 60 plus FPS at 1080p high in Linux in Cyberpunk 2077. In this demonstration, I will be comparing performance in Windows and Linux with an AMD R9 Fury. The R9 Fury was released in 2015 and featured performance comparable to an NVIDIA GTX 980, though it only had 4GB of VRAM. In spite of still being a capable video card, in 2021 AMD dropped support for the card and stopped development work on the Fury driver. However, Linux developers still actively work on the Fury GPU, and support is included in the open source AMD GPU driver. For this comparison, I will be using an even older Dell workstation, a Precision T5500 outfitted with 24GB of RAM and 2 Intel Xeon X5687 CPUs, the fastest available for this model. This workstation was released in 2009, but as you will see can still exceed 60 FPS in modern games. To get a baseline frame rate, we will use Windows 10 22H1 with the latest AMD driver released in June 2022. In spite of discontinuing support for the card, it seems AMD released a maintenance driver in June of this year. As you will see, however, the performance is subpar. Using the game's built-in benchmark using medium 1080p settings, with FSR set to balanced, I was only able to achieve 37 frames per second. In contrast, with no tweaks at all, in Linux I was able to achieve 45 frames per second, an increase of approximately 20%. All that was required was to install the game from the native Steam client for Linux and enable the experimental version of Proton. There is one useful tweak for the Fury that I hadn't tried yet, though. An alternative driver, called the Nimes driver, apologies for mispronouncing it, has been created for older GPUs like the Fury. With this driver, I was also able to reach 45 FPS in Windows. It should be noted, however, that this driver is not simple to install. Having achieved nearly identical performance in Windows and Linux, I set about to see if there was any way to further enhance the frame rate in Linux. There is a tool called gamemode by Feral Interactive. They are a company that is known best for porting Windows games to Linux. To enable this tool, all I had to do was go into Steam for Linux, open my game library window, right-click on Cyberpunk 2077, select Properties, and then enter gamemode run %command% in the launch options box. A few words of caution are in order before using game mode on Linux. First of all, if you are gaming on a desktop with poor cooling, or a laptop, game mode can cause your computer to run extremely hot and loud. This is because it maximizes how hard Cyberpunk, or any other game for that matter, pushes your hardware in Linux. It is also possible that game mode is not installed by default on your particular distribution of Linux. Check your distro's documentation for information on how to determine if game mode is available in your default software repository, as well as how to install it. The results I got from game mode were impressive, especially considering how old and obsolete my hardware was. As you can see, I averaged approximately 70 FPS in the game's built-in benchmark. Not only did the frame rate increase, but I was able to increase the quality preset from medium 1080p to high 1080p. Still, I did experience some very significant slowdowns in Cyberpunk's photo mode, so if you want to take screenshots, I recommend keeping the settings at medium. Oddly enough, frame rates between medium and high in Linux were nearly identical, indicating a bottleneck. However, that is a topic for another video. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. Thank you.